Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters video. I thought I would mix one of these in here while I'm continuing the Urban Legends videos, mainly again to showcase more new cryptids on this channel, give my own thoughts and opinions on them, and also as a treat for all you cryptids fans out there. This one once again is a random entry from the Random Cryptid Generator website that I have saved. It's pretty neat. You pretty much click a button and then it generates a random cryptid, and so in some cases I have to keep cycling over and over because I've talked about so many of these in the past. This one though is brand new. In fact, you're looking at a representation of it now. It's pretty interesting but pretty deadly as well. You definitely don't want to run into this one wherever it's located, which I'll talk about more here in a minute, because absolutely you will meet your demise, and in a very, very gruesome manner. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all that information of the cryptid here. It has a very unique name as well. It's known as the Mamlambo, and a reason for that in a minute as to why it has that unique name too. So let me know what you guys and gals think about this cryptid. Anybody there from the area I'm going to mention as well, give me some thoughts, give me some comments below. So what is this Mamlambo? Well, it is a cryptid that's found there in South Africa and is of Zulu folklore. In fact, the reason why it's called Mamlambo is apparently that translates to brain sucker. That gives you an idea about what this thing does, right? You don't necessarily have a name like that without having more things leading up to that name. And when you get the name brain sucker, that's pretty much only one way to put it as to what's going to happen to you from this creature. But yes, where you want to find it is over there in South Africa, specifically in a river that has two names. I think it's a little bit unique. Let me see if I can spell or say it correctly. Mzinhlava River, Mzinhlava River, otherwise known as the Umzimhlava River. Boy, those are hard to pronounce here. But yeah, this is where it's found. And so if you want to stay away from this creature, then by all means do so. But if you want to risk your life essentially trying to find it, that's where it is. Let's talk about how it looks like. Apparently, though, this creature has many iterations. Maybe it's the fact that people, again, want to stay away from it and not be able to run into it, or if they do have the misfortune of seeing it, at least they see it for a very short time period before they consider themselves lucky to escape out there alive. But what little has been seen of it is this. It's a creature that is about 6 to 7 feet in length. It apparently has a horse-like head, a serpentine neck, a crocodilian torso, 4 stubby legs, and then also a pretty long tail. It pretty much lives its entire life there in the river. It is an aquatic creature, in other words. So it'll stay in the river, and you can just imagine how dangerous that is automatically. You ever seen that footage, right, involving like crocodiles and other type of similar creatures as they're in the river? You can't see them at all. None of the animals do. In fact, when they're trying to get little snippets of water from the nearby river, they can't. But the crocodiles sure can see them. That's essentially what I picture this Mamlambo does when it's there in the river and you have no idea that it's about to come out. What's interesting, though, is this. It is apparently a bioluminescent animal. In fact, it was described there by an elder, a guy by the name of Matshangu. He stated, quote unquote, "It is a big snake, and I have seen what it does. It has the head and neck of a snake, and it shines at night with a green light." In fact, other witnesses have stated that it also has these 2 gleaming green eyes. And you don't want to look at them necessarily because apparently they are either so beautiful or so mesmerizing that it causes people to go into some sort of spell. You're looking at it and then you're essentially trapped. It reminds me of Medusa, right? The famous legend associated with her. How you don't necessarily want to ever look at her, such as the case here with this Mamlambo. So what happens, though, if you do find this creature, or more specifically, it finds you? Well, here's where your misfortune occurs, because as the story goes, this river is its watery domain. It absolutely uses this river to hunt, and not only does it eat other animals, presumably other aquatic life there, but it actually enjoys eating humans. So whatever happens there in the river, if you happen to be there for whatever reason, it'll find you. not only will it find you, but it'll also start dragging you underneath the water. So you can just imagine it grabbing you, taking a hold of you, and then pushing you right underwater, right again where its watery domain is. And then it just proceeds to drown you. This is actually, if you could even call it that, the luckiest of things for you to happen, because if you happen to drown beforehand, then you're going to save yourself a great amount of pain of afterwards. Because as the story goes, this Mamlambo, the reason again why it's called a brain sucker, why it translates to in that native language, is because of this. It'll crack open your skull and then utilize its tongue to essentially eat your brains. And not only that, but it'll use its tongue as a form of a straw of some sort, because it's essentially drinking the entire blood from your body. So again, you definitely want to be drowned at that point, because nobody wants to see their brain pop out right there from their head and then witness what else happens afterward. You're going to essentially wish that you were drowned at that point beforehand. But that's what it does. It'll target people. It'll target individuals there in that river, and then it'll drown them, and then it'll crack open their skull, just like somebody does when it comes to, let's say, a bottle of beer, something like that. And then it'll use its tongue to essentially drink or eat the brains and then drink the rest of your blood. Horrible, horrible way to go. So how easy it is to stay away from this creature? Well, again, don't go by that river as long as you're on land. It seems like you're pretty well. In fact, the way I was reading something involving murky depths, it seems like you have to be pretty much deep in the river in order for this creature to start targeting you. So as long as you stay on dry land, and you're fine, and as long as you're, I guess, nearby the edges of the river, you should be fine too. But otherwise, that's the story of the Mamlambo. Now, there are apparently some skeptics associated with this creature. Again, despite the fact that a lot of people believe it's legend there in that area and what it's done to other people, the skeptics include actually the local police state. They have stated that they believe that a lot of these purported victims of the Mamlambo are nothing more than drowning casualties, just people that happen to be wrong place, wrong time. Something got swept over when it comes to their boat or canoe, and then they ended up drowning. Well, if the next question is, well, how do you account for the fact that it looks like their brains are eaten and their skull is popped out, stuff like that? There was a captain by the name of Captain G. Mizuko of the Mount Aleph Police, and this is what he stated with regards to that. This is his direct quote. I have seen some of the bodies of the so-called monster's victims. They had all been in the water for some time, and, as is often the case, river crabs had eaten away the soft parts of the faces and throats. In one case, the crabs were still clinging to the body when it was brought in. As far as we're concerned, these are cases of drowning, plain and simple. So that's it. That's essentially the angle that the local police there have when it comes to any of these victims of the quote-unquote Mamlambo. They just attribute it more along the lines of simple drownings, unfortunate drownings, and then you have natural aquatic life taking care of the rest. But still, a lot of the villagers there believe that this is a creature, a real life one, that lives in and around that area. A lot of the tribesmen as well do so, and so they just consider this a mysterious but dangerous entity. One last thing to showcase here is its last known sighting, or one of its most recent sightings. Apparently it was there near Lubaleko, which is a village nestled there near the Mamlambo River, and this was back in April of 1997. There was a creature that was described as a quote-unquote giant reptile that was reported there, and so people apparently saw it. Nobody, unfortunately, got hurt because they were able to, I guess, move away in time or make sure that they weren't in a place where this creature could get a hold of them. But either way, they wanted to make sure that their skulls were right then and there within their that their brains were essentially kept within their skulls and nothing else would happen to them afterward. But that's pretty much it. That's all the info associated with this mysterious creature, deadly creature, the Mamlambo, again located there in South Africa. But if anybody has any more info, something else I might have missed, then please post those comments below. All right, everyone. Thanks again as always. Take care.